and going. Hello, and here we are with Daniel Glickman from Wave.video. He's waving. For those of you listening to the podcast, no, we'll cut the beginning to give people a chance to get on. I don't have appointment programming for this show, this live version of the podcast that we do, mostly because schedules are weird, crazy with guests, and my schedule was crazy. Not anymore. We won't dig into that too much. So welcome, Daniel. How are you today?
I would say everything is great, but so I'm not sure what to answer these days to that question. But good.
Getting by.
Yeah, I got a job. I got space in the house. I've got a yard. We're all healthy. So yeah,
Right.
I'm happy. I'm good.
You can add internet connection to that list.
Yes. It's funny. We were watching Netflix last night, and it was buffering, and we're like, oh, back to the days when we had to wait for stuff to download. Yes, and now it seems like such a basic human right to not have to wait for buffering, right? So it's
I love that you said it's a basic human right, not a basic human need. I think on all the different podcasts that I've done, sometimes I ask a funny question at the end, and one of the questions that I have been asking is, if you could have a superpower in your job, what would your superpower be? If it could be anything, and my answer has always been ubiquitous internet, like everywhere, flawless, all the time, no issues. So I have not fished that wish just yet. I'm gonna, and that is the colloquialism that some people get. So I'm gonna, have you ever played the game Go Fish?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So when you ask for a card and you get the card that you asked for, we used to say, "I fished my wish," and apparently that was a Powers family thing, because the people that I've said that to have not didn't know anything about it. So what are you gonna do? All right, I am. Oh, did you share this onto the Wave group?
I don't believe I did. I shared.
Oh, sorry, that was 2 hours ago. You were live in there 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
All right, I was trying to bring it up to see if I can see who's on. All right, so I'm going to kick it off. Hello, and welcome to the Making a Marketer podcast. I'm Megan Powers with Powers of Marketing, and this is episode 53. We are winding down on season 3 of the pod, and I'm super happy to have Daniel Glickman, the CMO of Wave.video, with us today. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Megan. Hi, everyone.
Hi again. I was a guest on his podcast, and he does a fun thing where he plays a phone ringing, and basically you know like you're having a phone conversation. Actually, I want that before we do. I'm going to do your bio, but before that, tell me, since I mentioned it, what's your thought process? Tell us about the name of your podcast and your thought process behind how you decided to sort of chop up and mix and mingle your guest answers.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the podcast is B2U, the Business to User podcast. So unlike B2B, B2C, at least there's B2G, business to government. I think of it as business to user, where you sell directly to the end user, be they in a business or not, right? So that's the podcast name. And the reason I did it the way I did it is because when someone persuaded me I need to create a podcast, and and I was thinking, well, it's a ton of work. I mean, it's really a ton of work to create a podcast, and there are lots of them out there. And when I looked at how big of an audience I could create, I realized podcast audiences are pretty small. If you have 1,000 subscribers to your podcast, that's considered pretty successful. So I'm thinking, should I do this amount of work for such a small audience? And I decided to go for quality over quantity. So I decided I'm going to invest even more time to create something that's outstanding, that's interesting, that's storytelling, something that I would put my passion into, It would be my creative outlet, and something that for the few who do listen to me, it would be highly impactful and highly memorable. And so one of the, and I put together like a whole different um, plan. Like, okay, how am I going to get the word out? How am I going to get people to subscribe to this? Just putting it out there is not enough, right? So I figured, okay, I need to get some people that have their own audience that would want to share this out there. So I go, okay, if I did the math, if I wait, for each guest to share each episode, it would take what, 3 years to get to three, I get
Right.
the math. So I figure, okay, if I get more people in every episode, I get more sharing. So that was how I started out, and it just kind of snowballed. And then I figured, okay, I can't just move from one guest to another. I want to really build storytelling in here. And I've always been inspired by the NPR podcasts, the This American Life. I remember the first time I listened to Ira Glass, it changed my life because the guy does not have the voice for radio. He's like the complete opposite, right? And yet I find myself listening and captivated. And I remember thinking vividly, I remember this the first time I heard This American Life. If he can be on radio, wow, I can one day maybe be on radio too. So for me, all of this kind of came together, and I was like, okay, I want to be kind of like, I don't want, I guess for myself, I don't want to be Ira Glass, but for myself, I want to be that moment. I want to make it that moment. So that's how I started it. And I kind of mimicked that style, if you will, a bit.
I love it. Yeah. So our guests are on the show that they're on, and then we just, edit it and then post. So the fact that you had, 5 different interviews and then you put them all together, I thought was really cool. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
And
It was great. And I mean, it took about 50 hours of work to put that one episode together. So
that's a labor of love right there.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's why I pay someone
Yeah.
to do my editing. He's awesome. Shout out to Avery if you need a podcast editor. Yeah, he's your man. He's the audio guy. All right, cool. So I'm going to read your brief bio. Daniel is an innovative and internationally experienced CMO with a passion for building data-driven marketing systems that empower creative marketing teams to thrive and perform. Proven strengths in aligning marketing, sales, product, and IT teams to deliver personalized digital customer experiences that create hype. Creative, quick, analytical, and collaborative. And he has written 2 books. Personalize This and Disrupt That. If you have a link to share the link to those with me, if you can, and I'll put them in the show notes. Yeah, no question. All right, so you've been a CMO for several companies. What would you say is the consistent theme throughout the brands that you've represented in terms of like what's the most important element that should ring through to customers? Is there anything that's weaved its way through all of your roles?
I guess the thing that really, I guess what really is interesting is the ability to get scale in digital with a personal touch and a personal feel. So this is and I used to own my own business, and we worked in the remodeling industry. We built homes and green homes, and of course there you're signing $1 million contract. You're going to spend a lot of time and you spend a lot of effort building that relationship and trying to get those referrals. And then I got into tech, and it's like, okay, we need 1 million customers, not $1 million for one customer. How do you still make it personal? How do you still keep it? How do you keep the strength and powers of both sides? And I think to me that's the killer combination, when you're able to scale and yet feel personal, yet have a relationship there. And I put a bunch of work into this. It's not just it's an art form, really.
No question. And CMO is like, isn't it in the top 5 of the most like laid off or fired positions in the world. I think it's top 5.
It used to be. It used to be. Yeah, the average tenure was 2 years. It's a fairly new position too. It's only several years old, but I think a decade or two, right? It's not. It didn't exist before.
It was always sales and marketing under one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the CMO and the role has changed a bit, and oftentimes it's because the expectations are unrealistic. Um, and now of course it's stabilized a bit, and now as we know what a CMO is supposed to do, it's really the tenure has really stretched out. We're looking now at 5 to 10 years, so we're good. Yeah.
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 Right.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been hearing for years now that video is the future. Even this year, I was shocked to hear that video is the future, because I think video is the yesterday, it's the today, and the tomorrow. But whatever.
Mhm.
So it's obviously a tool that's been working now, and moving forward. Like, what do you think that is? What is it about video? And you like storytelling, right? So that's
Mhm.
probably, it's got to be part of it, huh?
Well, I think in the macro level, down the road, several years from now, yeah, something new might emerge. Video might become more interactive or something like that. But for now, in 2019, really was the year where everybody got into, or businesses got into video. Consumers got into video a long time ago, right? The demand was there,
Right.
but the businesses only started getting into video really in 2019. We work in tech, in the tech sphere, and we think that the whole world is like us. No, there's so many companies out there that are not really yet even discovered video. But 2019 is when really the mass influx came in. And 2020 is when everybody's starting to think, wait a second, I need a strategy here. I need to really figure out how to do this. And I think this really parallels the evolution of content marketing or inbound marketing, whatever you wanted to call that, where everybody was blogging, right? So people started blogging, and then businesses said, oh, we can also do something like this. So you got businesses jumping in on that. And then they started asking, why are we doing this? Wait, why am I writing all of this content? How's it working? And methodologies came in, and strategies started to emerge. And nowadays it's ubiquitous. We all call it content marketing, and we kind of know how to do it. At the time, it was a mystery. We looked at some, and they was, how are they doing what they're doing? How are they managing this? And oh, they put a link at the bottom of the blog post. That's amazing, right? And now we're at the same stage with video, where we're looking at some, and they're doing super well, and we try and we just create more video, and we're like, well, why am I not doing super well? I'm making all this video content, right? It's about strategy. It's about getting it right and doing the best practices and understanding, having purpose. Yeah, I think 2020 is the year when businesses are really starting to think of the ROI and how to do it more effectively, not just more efficiently.
Right. That's so interesting, because I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, right? Because you're right. We're kind of in our bubble with, like, yeah, video, of course, duh. But yeah, you're right. The general consumer is not, and general brand maybe hasn't been using it to its greatest potential. Having said that, I think a lot of us have been seeing a lot of really fun videos that families are doing, and I think a lot of it's been kind of driven by the TikTok craze. So is there any one video that you've seen that has, like, caught your eye during all this?
Oh, there was one TikTok video I saw, which was a guy looking out of a window of an airplane, and he sees the wing, and he's sort of excited about landing wherever, this exotic destination. And then the camera zooms out, and you see that he's actually sitting next to a washing machine and looking through the washing machine window. And he's just imagining, and he's dreaming of, he's pretending that he's in first class and flying somewhere. But I thought that was really cute, and it kind of reflected how we all feel today. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
I the families that are getting their kids in on it are cracking me up. Hi, Jen Cole. Jen Cole just joined us. I saw Kent Terrell and Jan Cott and Buzz and James. was on. So thanks, guys. If you have any questions, let us know. So tell me about how are you a co-founder of Wave?
No, I'm a
You're not.
hired
Okay.
gun. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. That you've been there pretty early, right?
I joined in just as we launched Wave.video. That's our second product.
Oh,
We have another product called Animatron Studio, and I was consulting for the company before,
gotcha.
and then I joined the team just when we launched. So yeah, I've been there from the start of Wave.video, you could say.
That's awesome. So just on the TikTok thing, your Wave has the ability to create videos in every possible format and size, but you don't have a TikTok template or kind of thing yet, right? But people can do 9:16.
Yeah, you can just use the generic and upload it to TikTok. We've neglected one because we haven't had requests for it. I think TikTok material tends to be very different in nature,
Right.
and it tends to be more produced on the phone and in the moment. Although we're seeing it change as well in TikTok, and it is about time we added it to our formats. Yeah, but you could definitely just use the generic, vertical.
Yeah. So as a user, I will say that for those watching or listening, so basically they have templates that enable you to create really nice, easy, really good looking videos, but also you can customize. And so I have some clients that I had a regular video that I was doing for them. And so then the logo was always in the same place, and their name and title across the bottom can roll in. And it's got some pretty cool options for all that. Super easy to use. As Jen Cole says, Wave is so awesome. It truly is. What's the biggest thing you've learned since you have been with Wave in terms of no, I'm not going to narrow it. What's the biggest thing you've learned?
Oh, wow. Since joining Wave, I think really my answer to that would be really the formalizing how we develop features based on customer research, customer interviews and research. And we've, I've always done this. This is not new, but here we've really taken this to the next level where we we really get the information from our customer base, what it is they want and what it is they need. And then we process that a lot and we repackage that as something innovative. Because somebody says, hey, I just need, the ability to add captions to my video or something. And somebody else says, I need, stickers or whatever. And if you just give them what they want, you end up with this product that has too many features. It's clumsy. It's not innovative. It just has all overlap of features with a lot of other products out there. Because that's the thing. Where do people get their ideas? They get them because they saw this same feature somewhere else, and they say, "Oh, can you do the same thing? Can you have that?" Right? Nobody comes up with that one thing that nobody has, because by definition you can't. So the task we have is taking those requests, prioritizing them, and packaging them in a way that positions us differently, that separates us, that gives new meaning, a new functionality to the user that they didn't imagine before. I think we're doing that very, very well. So yeah, it's a
I
team
agree.
effort, and I'm learning a lot as I go. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I not as homework for this, but kind of funny as I was getting ready, thinking in my head, it kind of was. So I went back through the first live show I ever did was for a client, and it was called Event Collab. It was a online project management tool that was so lovely, and it's sitting on a shelf. The code is sitting on a shelf. Anyway, I digress. So, but looking back through my videos and not only seeing myself get more comfortable, but also seeing like the technology evolve has been really interesting, because like with each one, I had each of the first 4, I think I had some tech fail of some kind. And I was using BeLive at the time, and like screen share. And it was 17 when live on Facebook still was relatively new. And so going live natively on there also was a little problematic. Anyway, it was really funny to kind of see how I've evolved. But that's a nice thing too about your tool is A, that it's online, B, that it's super easy to use. And I was looking for something because iMovie for me is and I'm a technical person. Like I used to hand code develop, websites, and I took a Visual Basic class, for crying out loud. So like I get tech, and when I have an issue, I'm like, oh man, there's got to be an easier way. So as soon as I started using Wave, I was like, hot diggity, this is awesome. And you make me look good too, because the first few videos that I did using it, people are like, ooh, I like the branding. I'm like, yeah. So thanks for that. And then a little shout out from Miss Jen Cole. Daniel does such a great job of staying in touch with the Wave community. Love what you're doing, friend.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is that if you think about it in that way, it's people they're not just customers, right? They're people that are part of your community. It's important, I think.
It's important, and we're all human beings. We're all trying to achieve something and to achieve success, whatever that success means, right? And our job as a business is to help people succeed, right? It's not just to provide them with a solution, it's to help them succeed. It comes in many formats. One is, they have to succeed in using our product, they have to succeed in understanding how to use it, and they have to succeed in the best practices of their business. And yes, they have to succeed in their own business, in their own industry. Sometimes that's way beyond our control, but we can help a little bit. We need to have, if we don't have empathy towards that, if we don't experience the same experiences and relate to that, then we will never get them, right? We'll never be able to help them. So for me, I always try to put myself in the shoes of our customers and go through the exact same things. I have a team of designers that produce amazing content for me, and they're always like, oh, let me touch that up for you. And I'm like, no, I want to do this myself. I want to post it as it is, because I want to feel the exact same feelings our customers have when they are posting a video, which is not designer made. It's not perfect. I want to know exactly what that feels like. I want to be able to relate. And do I feel proud? Do I feel conflicted? Do I feel upset? What exactly is going on? How can I relate? So so that's kind of my guiding star, is be there next to our customers and take the journey with them.
I love it. So the first 5.5 years of my career, I was a technical writer, writing users guides in online health or software. So, and in doing that, I had to use it, because just reading a spec sheet about what it's supposed to do isn't going to help the customer if the product doesn't work the way that the spec sheet, you know what I mean? So I was using it and writing the instructions as I went, as a user. So super smart. But I love that even on your level that you're still doing that. So Buzz and James said, as a corporate editor, festival video producer, and social media manager, I'm always looking for better systems to work with, both at home and on location. This looks like a great platform to consider a lot more. So much flexibility. Yeah, absolutely. Check it out. You can see, I mean, the website's right there, Wave.video. I love it. I have .marketing on that's my URL is .marketing, and still trips people up. But there's no .com. I'm like,
no, everything's taken.
No. I have the .com also, because believe it or not, there's still like forms that you fill out that don't recognize unique URL or the newer domains. So so I still have it. It redirects, but still kind of gets people like, ooh, I'm like, it's the name of my company. There you have it. Awesome. Okay, so what do you think is the most important thing to do when we're using video as our content?
Oh, well, that's such a broad question. I mean,
I know,
so many
sorry.
different kinds of videos, right? So,
Right. Like what's in terms of strategy, it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. That's what strategy is. But in terms of like what should be like a guiding principle, I think that people should use when creating video content.
well, if there's one thing I had to choose, I guess it's pace. It's getting the right pace. So when you're creating text, right? I'm a reader. I like reading, and so I know one of the reasons why I like reading is because I can set my own pace. I can skim stuff. I can slow down when I need to, and I find that far more effective for myself. With video, you have to guess what is the pace that people want to watch your video. So you need a bit of a, again, this sort of empathy, like try to think, what is the context? Are they reading, are they watching this video while they're in a conference or on a Zoom call, and they have it on mute, and they're kind of, their mind is half in the Zoom call that they don't really want to be in, and half watching this video? Or is it, are they scrolling for their feed, or are they sitting in the bathroom, and whatever? So the pace is super important, and nowadays the pace is so fast, right? Because everybody's like ADD, so you have to constantly change themes or change the visuals and grab their attention every 3 to 5 seconds. So if you have text on the video, it's easy to do. You read it out loud and to yourself, and you say, okay, once I'm done reading it, I move on to the next scene. I change the visual. I do something. Even if you have like your own talking head video, this is a challenge right now. Those who are watching us, right? It's just the two of us, same scenery. It's not changing. Like,
Right.
how boring visually is that? It's terrible. So when you're editing, you can even cut, and all of a sudden you get a close up, and you zoom in, you zoom out. You can do these little tricks. But when you're live like this, we're limited to what we can do. And yeah, I can do some more body movement. I'm not
Right.
really, really good at it. I think Stephanie Liu is a master at this with her facial expressions,
Yeah.
and she really gets you. Like, you notice her all the time. So she gets this. She gets the pace right. So yeah, that was the one thing I would think about: pace.
I love that. That's perfect. Yeah. And Jen Cole said, so smart. Goals and messaging really feed into this too. Oh, and if it's going to be an episodic experience, you got to think that through too. We're talking about this on SME chat tomorrow. So just so happens. I love it. Perfect. All right. James would like to know, Daniel, do you think people should consider long form content more than they do now?
Oh, wow.
Great question.
Great question. I guess it depends who you are and what is your, what's your industry and your skill. Long form content is very, very expensive to produce. It takes exponentially more amount of work. Now, if you have something really interesting to offer, and if you're a big brand, if you can spend that kind of resources, it could be very beneficial. It's because it's harder to produce, there's less of it. And if you're good at it, you might be able to get your niche there. So you can see on YouTube, um, there is a lot of long form content. You can have somebody talking about the DSLR camera for 2 hours there, and people will watch, right? Because they have something to give. So the question is, how much do you have to give? How much can you spend on this? By far, it's strategically, it's very, very hard for smaller businesses to justify long form content in video because of the expense, and because for the most part, it's very hard for people to find a time of day to spend time in long form, right? So you're competing against so many distractions. What are the chances you'll really get somebody in there? I would say they're pretty small unless your content is absolutely extraordinary.
Right. Right. I think that like a point on that is all of the like the late night talk shows, even the ones they're all doing them at home now, right? But their monologue, that thing in the beginning, is always separated out in another video. Like they're not forcing us all to watch the entire hour show or whatever it amounts to, 45 minutes. They're chunking it in bite size.
Yeah, and if you look,
bits.
if you have kids, you see how they watch. If you're trying to sit down as a family and watch Netflix or something, you will notice that the adults who grew up in a different age are just sitting there and watching the entire show. The kids are getting up, they're coming, they're on their phones, they're chatting with somebody during the show. They just cannot watch the entire show.
Right.
They are used to something different, and from their perspective, it's like, oh, this scene is boring. Can you just skip forward? Oftentimes they'll do the same thing with music. They'll skip forward, but we all do this to some extent nowadays, right? So we are, so again, when you're doing long form, it's a big, big bet. And can you constantly keep it like really, really focused and really keep giving? That's super tough to do. And if you're going to have like a couple of minutes in there, which are slow and boring, people are going to just go away.
Right.
So, I would say if you're starting out, don't go long form, go short form. If you've mastered that, you're doing really well, you have an audience, and you say, oh, wow, I could go on and on. I have so much in-depth knowledge. I could really give an hour-long talk on this, and I think I could captivate people. Then I would say there's really room for it, because there's a high level of influence when you have somebody with you for an hour. And that level of influence could translate into action and sales, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great answer. Well, I think we're nearing the end. Actually, we're at 30 minutes, so I want to be conscious of your time. So I'm just going to ask you one more question. All right. Tell us about one of your books. Pick one.
Oh, that would be Disrupt That.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a book about essentially, startup, how to market as a startup, and it's my view about how to manage a team, how to get out there, and how to break through the noise and make your company visible and noticeable. And it's all about disruption when you're a small brand. And I always say the only competitive advantage we have against the big guys we're competing against. We're competing, our company, we compete against Adobe and even Microsoft, out there. And, big guys that have like a lot, they've got more money, they've got more talent, they've got more everything. The one advantage we have over them is that we don't have a legal department. We don't have somebody that just shuts down every crazy idea we have. And so we can move faster, we can move better, and we can move dirtier. Not that I'm suggesting we should do illegal stuff. No, it's just the legal department. They just want everything to be kind of boring. So,
Right.
So that's what the book is about: how to manage the team that way, how to think in a disruptive way, and how to position yourself in a way that's more interesting in the marketplace so you can break through.
I love it. I'm gonna have to add that to my I taught a social media for business class, like at the last minute, for this group of people who all want to launch businesses within the next 0 to 3 months. And some of them wanted like deeper training. And so, cause I mean, an hour to cover social media is like, you're just barely scratching the surface, right? So anyway, I'm going to email all of them, and I'm going to suggest that that book. It sounds like a perfect book for somebody who's wanting to go out on their own.
Yes. I wish I knew all that stuff when I started my company way back when. It would have saved me $1 million, I would say.
Oh,
Probably.
wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. I will say that I have loved my favorite jobs other than this one, having my own company. I'm the longest employer I've ever had worked for. 6.5 years so far. But the startups were my favorite. I definitely enjoyed that nimble. I think it also helps that I got laid off from my first job out of college 7.5 months in. So I got that life lesson early, that nothing is certain, to always keep your resume updated and all that good stuff. So I think I got used to early, like trying, being on my toes and being ready to pivot, whether that meant to, a new company or whatnot. So, okay. And then before the show started, I asked you, I mentioned that superpowers, if you could have a superpower in your job, if you could do anything at all in your job that you can't currently do, what would it be?
Oh, I guess it would be to always be right, because most of the time I'm wrong about anything. I think that's just human nature. About 60% of the time, we're wrong. So, so I'm like, if I knew, if I could make the right decision every time, I would be, it would shorten the process dramatically. Let's
Right.
go. Yeah.
That would be really good. That's a good one. I've never heard that. Yeah, that would be. I mean, I know plenty of people who think they're never wrong. So I also think it's a sign of great leadership when you can admit when you're wrong. So for you to say that, I think it says a lot. So Jen Cole signing off. Thanks, Jen. All right. Thank you to everyone who came on and asked questions and engaged with us. If you're listening to this on the replay or watching this back on YouTube or Facebook, thank you very much. And Mr. Daniel, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Oh, it was
This
a
is
pleasure.
awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always goes way too quick. And I say that every time, but it's true story. It just really does. So, all right. This has been episode 53. Oh, James, stay well. Thanks, James. You too. See you on the chat tomorrow, maybe. All right. This has been episode 53 of Making a Marketer, and we will catch you next time.